So, good afternoon to our Inspire Us radio listeners. This is Inspiring Talks with Ilam, and the first hour of our show we have Inspire exclusive with Nadia-Toni Jacobs, who's already online. But I just want to let everyone know that at the second hour of our show, we'll be having Brody from AA. He'll be here in studio, and he'll be talking about Elsie's River section of AA and Cocaine Anonymous for anybody that is having trouble. We also have at 2 p.m. Johan de Meyer was a guest in called Franklin Peterson. So he'll be talking men with talking men. He will be focusing on this man and what he can contribute to men. His show is just about men. So we're going to get straight into it with Nadia. Nadia is a specialist for over 20 years. She is a trauma counselor. She's a holistic healer. She is fabulous. She is wonderful. And we'd like to always welcome her back to her. This is her exclusive also. But welcome to Inspire Else's Radio, Nadia.
Thank you, Ilam. It's always good to be back.
So, Nadia, we're going to be talking about anxiety and stress. And then from that, we also want to talk about how do you build resilience and self-care. Because I think it's easy when also like people who know things think everybody knows what they know. But like there's people out there that
Mm.
don't know. And there's people that's going through maybe stress and going through anxiety. And they haven't gone to a specialist yet or they haven't gone to see anybody. They don't even know how to identify the emotions. So if we can just get
Mm.
into it, like what are some of the signs of anxiety and what's one of the things that you can do in the moment? Because you know when you're not feeling normal, but sometimes you don't know. Maybe it's an anxiety attack, maybe you're feeling intense emotions. So like what do you do?
So, anxiety disorders needs to first of all be diagnosed by a doctor or psychologist or psychiatrist. So, I'm not going to talk about the disorder per se.
Mm-hmm.
So people know when they have anxiety based on it feels like palpitations in the heart or the chest pains or these pains down the arm. So it mimics a heart attack, right? But there are different things and different aspects to anxiety. So if we just look at well, with regards to trauma, somebody having a trauma background or going through life struggling or that's experienced rape or domestic violence or ongoing domestic violence, and they feel like they can't breathe, they can't cope, um, they feel like they are depressed, but they don't know for sure if they're depressed. So how do we manage um, anxiety per se? How do we recognize it? So first of all, it would be those type of pains that's happening in the chest. Some people feel like the legs are going weak, the palms start sweating, and you get that almost like a fluttery sensation in your tummy. Now, this can affect anybody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't ask for age,
Hmm.
color, religion. It can happen to anybody. Um, there are quite a few ways that we can manage it. So there are things like yoga. Okay. If you are doing yoga, you could probably learn how to meditate. So meditation comes through prayer. It could be prayers that you are doing. Meditation can come through the purpose of yoga and how to deal with those aspects. But a lot of people like the idea of managing it with prayer. So it's about meditation and manifesting what you are feeling and what you want into that. There are things like pressure points, how to release pressure points. One common one is where your heart is situated. You would take your finger and just feel around there, and somewhere around there, you're going to feel it hurts. So you push on there and you release. There's many aspects to pressure points. And then, of course, the finger tapping on the face and other places. There's exercising. One of the best techniques that I like and that I share a lot with the children at school is breathing techniques
Mm-hmm.
because there are different types of breathing techniques for different um, feelings or emotions or panic attacks or anxiety. So, breathing techniques, there are quite a few, and then we have exercising as well. I found like with a lot of men, they love moving into the exercising um, part of things where they can go and work off anger or they can go and work off what they are feeling. And just to go into there a little bit, a lot of people feed the anxiety with pain tablets. Okay. I have a headache. I need pain tablets. If the pain tablets doesn't help, um, I need stronger ones. So here's the thing with opioids, any pain tablet that comes and it contains opioids, if you take it today, 1 o'clock, tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you're going to have a pain. And it will carry on on until you get um, addicted to those opioids. So don't think that medically um, addiction doesn't apply. It still applies. So you want to move away from that and bring in holistic healing or the catharsis process. Um, so yeah, the other thing about building resilience and self-care, um, it needs to it needs to encompass structure that you set for yourself, where you can recognize exactly what you are feeling in that moment. Okay, and this is where mindfulness comes in. This is where mindfulness uh, takes a great part of it. Mindfulness, I believe, because I practice it, is holistic healing. It is recognizing what you're feeling in that moment, recognizing it, naming it, and then creating something resilient for yourself so you are able to move on from those feelings that's holding you captive.
Mm-hmm.
So
But Nadi,
yeah.
before we get into the self-care and the resilience, I just want you to
Mm,
maybe just quickly touch on if if you're going through attacks and like panic attacks and you don't know the trigger yet, how do you
mm.
how do you help yourself figure out what is the trigger? Where do you start?
So, okay. So remember, we have five senses. Okay. Um, when you have some sort of anxiety, you get to see what the red flags are. So a smell might set you off. So, for example, if there is you've gone through a trauma and the person that beat you up had a particular smell. When you smell that smell again somewhere, that's going to be your trigger. And once you experience that, that would then be your red flag. The same with taste, the same with touch, all of that. Those are your mechanisms that will give you the red flag. You are being triggered. Then you need to look at what am I doing when I've been triggered. And this is why we say you name your emotion, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, Am I reacting to it impulsively? If you are reacting to it impulsively, then you need to change that. You need to change the action. So, in essence, you need to challenge yourself to change the action and not become impulsive about it. So,
Give an
yeah,
example, like give an
there's a
example of
lot.
how you can, once you identify your trigger, give an example of how somebody can then navigate life without getting a panic attack. Is that possible?
Okay, yes, yes, it's possible. And it just goes back to manifesting. You Once you know what it is that triggers you, you're gonna now create a situation whereby you create a little structure for yourself,
Mhm.
um, and you now have to put something into practice to remind you when that red flag goes up that um, I need a support group. So
Support group.
your support system is very, very important. Your support system must be people that are potentially positive people. So you first of all surround yourself with people that are positive people. You can do something like in every, we must put our lights on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So surround yourself with positive quotes. Stick, you get those little booklets, do journaling. So, but not normal journaling. You're going to do reflective journaling. Once you name what you were feeling, you can put it into your journal and you can now say to yourself, um, how do I manage this if I go through that again? What am I going to do from a healthy perspective? Sorry. Let go of people that devalue you. So you let go of people that devalue and you add people that values you, that leaves you with a sense of value, that leaves you feeling respect and not guilt, that leaves you feeling loved and not ashamed. Okay. So all of those things becomes challenges. And when we talk to people that are possibly suicidal or cutters, that is the biggest challenges for them because in their mind, they are feeling worthless. They are feeling like they are invisible. They feel like they are alone. Nobody understands. So that's all traumatic experiences, and how you feel is valid. So
Mm.
now you have to unlearn all of that and you have to relearn. And that is where the challenging part comes in. But Ilham, it's not impossible. You can never forget the trauma. The trauma you get to live with for the rest of your life. And this is where resilience comes in again because it's how you manage your trauma. You don't have to become your trauma. Your trauma does not define who you are. It's how you manage your trauma that matters. Something that I did for myself through mindfulness. The first time I spoke about my trauma, it was difficult. I couldn't hold back the tears. And then I thought, no, man, this can be used for good.
Hmm.
And the more I spoke about it, the more resilience I built up. Up until today, I can now tell my full story. Yes, I feel it. So you feel it. It's your story. It's your truth. So you feel it, but not as intensely as you did the first time because the correct coping mechanisms were in place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about finding out what works for you structuring it in a positive way and bringing that into focus and it being the focal point about your healing journey because it is a journey, you
It's
know?
definitely a journey. I think in the beginning of the journey, like we were speaking earlier about being overwhelmed. I think sometimes it's very scary to also say things out loud that you've never admitted, either in like
Yeah.
to yourself out loud or to like the next person. And there's a lot of shame that comes with trauma also because even though you the victim, you feel almost like it was your fault. You did
Yeah.
something wrong, but you did nothing wrong. It is the other person's actions that they need to be accountable for their actions. Nadia, so when it comes to getting to that place of resilience, please start your journey and contact Nadia if you need any help. If she can't help you, she will refer you to somebody else. But when it comes to self-care, how important is self-care when it comes to of managing your trauma after kind of having that release because it feels like a release after you've done
Mm,
that and you've spoken about it. It's like, like you feel almost like there's some sort of calmness and there's some sort of, oh my word, I can't believe I like just did this and I'm feeling so much with it. Everybody deals with their trauma differently, but I also went through some traumatic things and like afterwards when I said it out loud, and I said to myself, I am not to blame for what other people did to me.
yeah.
I felt like the sense of all the shame went away. It was because
Mm,
I lived with so much shame and like almost like I did something wrong and like it melted away almost like. So like how do you now build a new life with self-care? Because you were saying that don't choose people anymore that bring a negative spirit to your life. Choose different people.
mm,
And sometimes that's also difficult nowadays. Sometimes it's family members,
yeah.
sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's people you have to see all the time. But you also need to do it nicely because you also don't want anyone to be rude to you again. Like you've already been through so much. So like how do you
Mm,
now you can cut people off slowly and you don't even have to have that conversation. It can just fade away because sometimes some people are aggressive. So how do you now
mm.
build your whole life from the bottom up? Because it really is, you're starting all from over.
Over it. Yeah. So we don't need to cut people out of our lives. Ilam, when we find that inner peace, um, and we create boundaries that are healthy and we learn and we teach ourselves on how to become assertive within those boundaries,
Hmm.
those people automatically fall by the wayside. They
Hmm.
automatically fall by the wayside because they see the change in you. And that is just the thing. The change comes from within, it doesn't come from without, but your own behavior then changes. And, I just want to go to the generational thing as well. You know, um, you're not allowed to talk about it. So what
Hmm.
do? We put masks on.
Hmm.
No, we need to release that mask. We need to take off that mask because we are protecting the people that damaged us.
Hmm.
By not removing those masks, we are holding on to the power of anger, to the power of worthlessness, So though the masks need to be removed, and then the learned behavior needs to be removed as well. The generational aunties and uncles that says, no, you're married to him. We know what he's doing, but you're married to him. And he's going to change. Don't worry, he's going to change. And you end up believing them because um, that's how you were brought up.
Hmm.
But in essence, if you don't stop the cycle by taking away that power. If you don't stop the cycle, your children then falls into it. So you essentially have to again unlearn and relearn.
Mm.
However, you need to be open to certain things when you relearn because we can easily fall back into toxicity again. We can fall back into our interpersonal relationships that are toxic. Why? Because our brains are wired that way to be comfortable in a certain situation. So, how we move away from those situations is we, sorry, we load ourselves with little things like grounding, for example, when those red flags goes off and when we want to make the changes and when we find the release, it doesn't stop there. Finding the release doesn't stop um, because we social humans,
Mm.
we are social, and therefore we're always going to have a need for somebody in our lives. But now, once we have learned that release, once we have learned forgiveness, because forgiveness is a great part of release, you know, being able to forgive yourself, being able to forgive others. Now, here's the thing that is the hardest part, Ilam. The hardest part is when somebody has damaged you verbally, emotionally, physically. Once they have damaged you, it's burnt into your soul that that person hurt me. How do we remove that? Many of us carry hate with us, and hate is a very strong emotion. You know, we keep that, and we keep being pulled into a relationship that is toxic with different people. Why? Because it's there. It's melted into your brain. So the entirety of this, you need to forgive and move on. And we don't like that. As human beings, we don't like to forgive because listen, you did me wrong. So now I'm gonna show you. I'm not gonna do this to you and for you, and I'm not gonna do that and blah 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 blah. The thing is, your emotions belong to you. And because of that, you have to take accountability and responsibility for your emotions. And that is how you meet the final line. That is how you reach the point of release, the point of inner peace. But you cannot stop practicing. You have to continue with your mindful moves, your breathing, the noticing of your emotion. What am I feeling? How am I going to move forward? What do I need to move forward and release all of the stuff behind me? And the biggest part of that is owning the fact that that trauma will never go away,
Mm.
but your life can carry on with it because you can grow through it.
Mm. Nadia,
So
thank
I
you
don't know
so much.
if
We
I'm making.
Now you're making a lot of sense, and that is solid advice that you're giving, that you need to forgive and that you need to move on with your life and don't, because also if you harbor that anger and that hate, it eats away at you, and somehow it will come through in another way in your life. So like to live with a
Yeah.
hatred, and that person also has a part in your mind
Mm,
that you're giving them space. Don't give them that space. Forgive and move
mm,
on, or just
mm.
move on if you're not ready to forgive. It is a difficult journey. But in the last minute,
Yeah.
Nadia, what advice do you have for people that maybe need to start or whatever part of the journey they are in? What is some solid advice that you can give them in the last minute? And how can they contact you?
Um, the what I would recommend strongly is move away from meds that make you toxic unless you know you have a disorder and meds is prescribed to you. Start your holistic journey. Start the journey of catharsis because it's an amazing journey. You discover a side to yourself that you haven't known in forever, and that is the beauty.
How can
Just
they contact
accepting.
you, Nadia?
My number is 064 691 6515.
Everyone who heard that, please contact Nadia. She can definitely help you.